Today we'll be taking a look at the Hbada E3 Air, which is the most budget-friendly chair in Hbada's E3 lineup. Coming in at around $400, it's significantly cheaper than its siblings, the E3 Pro at $550 and the E3 Ultra at $700. But what's interesting about this chair is that despite being the most affordable model in the lineup, I actually think it might be the best value out of all of them. It offers most of what you'll get from the higher end models at a much lower price point. In this video, I'll be giving you my full review of the Hbada E3 Air after testing it for the past few weeks. We'll go over everything you need to know, including materials and build quality, adjustability, comfort, and overall value to help you decide if this chair is going to be the right fit for you. But before we dive in, I just want to mention that Hbada did send me this chair for free to test and review. That said, this video isn't sponsored and they didn't pay me to say anything good or bad about the chair. All opinions are completely my own. That said, I will have some affiliate links down in the description. If you're interested in checking the chair out, be sure to use those links because it costs you nothing but really helps support the channel. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the review, starting with the design. The Hbada E3 Air features an all-mesh construction. It has a clean, modern aesthetic that looks professional and would fit nicely into pretty much any office setting. One of the most unique design elements is the adjustable side flaps on the backrest. These can be folded inward to create this sort of hugging effect around your lower back. It's a pretty distinctive feature that you really won't find on any other chair. Overall, I think this chair looks really good. Now, all mesh chairs tend to look really similar to each other, but I think Hbada has done a really good job with their E3 series of chairs to make them really unique and kind of stand out compared to the competition. When it comes to materials and build quality, the E3 Air is pretty solid despite being the most budget-friendly model in the lineup. It has a metal base, though it is a 6-piece base that you need to screw together rather than being a single-piece base that you'd find on higher-end chairs. The mesh is a plastic-like material pretty similar to what you'll find on most all-mesh office chairs. It has good elasticity and feels supportive, though it isn't the softest and can be a bit scratchy at times. The overall component quality is really good and basically the same as the Pro version. While the E3 Pro may have a few more features, the actual materials and build quality are pretty much identical between the two, which makes this chair a really good value in my opinion. It feels really sturdy and the components fit together well. I haven't noticed any creaking or wobbling in the 2 weeks that I've been using it for. It's also rated at a 300-pound weight capacity, and you get a 3-year warranty period, which is pretty good for the price point. Now let's talk about the actual comfort of the chair, starting with the seat. Now mesh seats can be really polarizing. Some people love them and some people hate them. In general, they're really just hard to pull off, even for higher end chairs, let alone the budget ones. Now that being said, this is one of the most comfortable mesh seats I've used regardless of the price. The high elastic mesh material has good tension, not too loose and not too firm. It's supportive and comfortable to sit in and doesn't sag or bottom out, but also at the same time doesn't feel too firm like a lot of other mesh chairs. Now one standout feature about this seat is that Hbada actually moved away from using a foam pad in the front of the seat. Most mesh chairs have this foam pad in the front that's meant to provide cushion for your legs so they don't come into contact with the hard plastic frame. Now that sounds good, but the problem with this design is that when you're sitting in the chair, you kind of sink below that foam pad, which causes a creasing effect. This can make it really uncomfortable because you'll feel that foam pad digging into the bottom of your thighs. Higher end chairs like the Herman Miller Aeron Remastered and the Ergo Human Gen 2 have actually moved away from this foam pad design, so it's nice to see that Hbada has done the same with a much more affordable chair. In addition to that, the E3 Air also has an excellent waterfall front edge design that helps prevent your legs from coming into contact with the front of the seat. We also have a seat pan depth adjustment feature which helps accommodate people of different leg lengths. Now, if you're someone who likes to sit cross-legged or with one leg tucked under the other, then this probably isn't going to be a good fit for you since your ankles will kind of dig into that hard plastic frame. This is typical for pretty much all mesh chairs since there needs to be a rigid frame to wrap the mesh around. But aside from that, this is one of the most comfortable mesh seats I've used. I think Hbada really nailed it with this design. And to put it into perspective, I've tested mesh chairs that cost twice as much with significantly worse seats. And when it comes to the backrest, the E3 Air has one of the most unique backrests I've seen. You have independent height adjustment for both the upper back and the lumbar support, which I've never seen before. Most chairs with back height adjustments will have the entire backrest move up and down together. Being able to independently adjust the upper backrest and lumbar support allows you to get the lumbar in the right sweet spot while at the same time adjusting the upper backrest for shoulder support based on your height. The lumbar support is pretty pronounced, but doesn't feel pokey at all since it's mostly mesh. It has good front to back and side to side movement. Now you don't actually manually adjust it. The purpose of this movement is really to allow it to adapt to your body and move with you as you shift around in the chair. I find it to be pretty comfortable and it promotes movement in the chair. Also, since it has some give to it, it allows you to actually use the upper portion of the backrest. Many mesh chairs with this split lumbar support kind of push you a bit too far forward in the chair so that your upper back and shoulders don't come into contact with the upper half of the backrest. Having this adaptive lumbar support actually fixes this issue. One of the most unique features of this lumbar support is the folding flaps on the sides. You can fold them in so that the lumbar section wraps around your waist, giving you a pretty tight hugging feeling. Now I'm not exactly sure why you would want that, but some people might find it comfortable. Personally, I just like to leave these flaps open because I don't like feeling constricted in my chair. That said, even with the flaps all the way out, it still gives you a bit of a hugging feeling because the padding of the flaps, which are foam wrapped in a faux leather material. When it comes to the mesh itself, it has really good elasticity, which is supportive and makes it so that you don't feel the plastic frame underneath. It can be a bit scratchy and coarse to the touch, but it's not a big deal since most of the time your bare skin won't really come into contact with it. Overall, I think this is a really unique backrest. It's comfortable and you get a lot of adjustability with the independent upper back and lumbar adjustments, so you can really dial it in to fit your body. When it comes to the recline, the E3 Air has a nice deep 140-degree recline, and you can lock the chair in multiple recline positions, which is good for lounging. And the recline action itself is pretty smooth. The E3 Air uses what Hbada calls their auto-gravity sensing mechanism. This is essentially a weight-activated mechanism that automatically adjusts the recline tension based on your weight, eliminating the need for manual adjustments. And while the recline action is smooth, my main issue is that the recline tension is a bit too loose and there's no way to control it. Now, what I typically look for is if a chair can hold me in a partially reclined position without having to lock it. This gives you that nice floating, suspended feeling, and normally I would adjust my tilt tension to achieve this effect. Unfortunately, I'm not able to use this chair in a partially reclined position without locking it. The tension is just too loose in my opinion. It requires a bit of initial force to recline, but once you go past a certain point, you'll just recline all the way back. It won't really hold you in place anywhere in the middle. You can either sit fully upright or it'll just recline all the way back. Like I said, these weight activated mechanisms work by responding to your body weight to provide the appropriate resistance when you recline. As a result, they can lead to an inconsistent experience for different people depending on your weight and body type. And while they're definitely easier to use for people who aren't accustomed to adjusting their office chairs, they do remove personal control over the recline tension. I personally prefer being able to manually adjust the tilt tension based on the situation. The headrest on the E3 Air is really good. It's 3D adjustable with height and 2 different pivot points, and the adjustment ranges are really good. With these adjustments, you can easily use the headrest either upright or in a reclined position pretty comfortably. It's also good whether you like to have it up against the back of your head or right in the curve of your neck for neck support. The pivot adjustment has this kind of arcing motion that goes forward and down at the same time, which acts as a depth adjustment so you can use it even when you're sitting more forward in the chair. You can also move it pretty much completely out of the way when you don't want to use it. The headrest holds its position really well. The pivot adjustment has a knob on the back that you can loosen and tighten. You can't really reach it while you're sitting in the chair, but I usually just have it tightened all the time. I find that when you have it tightened all the way, it feels sturdy, but you can still kind of adjust it a little bit if you need to. The headrest uses the same mesh as the rest of the chair, which gives it a uniform look. It has good elasticity and comfortable to use. It's also a really wide headrest, so you never have to worry about coming into contact with the hard plastic frame on the sides. That said, it can feel a bit scratchy rubbing up against the back of your neck, and occasionally I notice that it can kind of tug on your hair a bit, but that really only happens when you're really resting on it and moving around a lot. Overall, it's a solid headrest and I don't have too many issues with it. It has good adjustability so it can accommodate multiple sitting positions, and it's generally pretty comfortable to use. The armrests on the E3 Air are 3D adjustable with height, depth, and pivot adjustments. You don't get any width adjustments, which is the only downside, but overall the adjustment ranges are really good. The arm pads are comfortable with nice rounded edges so they don't dig into the sides of your arms. They're also flat on the top so you don't slip off. They have decent softness to them so you can really dig your elbows in without feeling any discomfort. Overall, these armrests are pretty good. They're nothing fancy like what you'll get with the Pro and the Ultra models, but they definitely get the job done. The Hbada E3 Air comes in at around $400, and at this price point, I think it offers really good value. You get good materials and build quality, a nice looking chair, and a lot of adjustment features that you won't find on pretty much any other chair at this price point. It's very similar to the Pro and Ultra models in terms of build quality and comfort at a significantly lower price. You're really kind of just missing some of the extra bells and whistles. That said, I actually think the E3 Air is better positioned in the marketplace than the higher end models in terms of value. Hbada offers a 3-year warranty and a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is pretty good for a chair at this price point. I think the warranty is fine for the E3 Air, but it's the same policy for the Pro and Ultra despite these chairs being much more expensive. Once you start spending upwards of $500 to $700 for a chair, now you're starting to kind of compete against the major brands like Steelcase and Haworth, which offer 12-year warranties. Overall, I really like the E3 Air. It might be the best all-mesh office chair under $500 that I've used. I think they really nailed it with the seat, making it one of the most comfortable mesh seats I've tested. Its unique adjustability features also really help it stand out from the competition. If you're looking for an all-mesh office chair under $500, I think the Hbada E3 Air deserves some serious consideration. It offers excellent value for the money with its unique features and overall comfort. So if you're interested in checking this chair out, I'll have a link to it down in the description.